Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing City Folk. Today it's almost a little too late for me to be recording. And I'm just gonna say this up front, today might be a bit of a shorter episode because I am kind of tired and I actually have a decent sized edit ahead of me. So, because I've been wanting to work on editing the new series for a while, and I've decided tonight is the night I'm going to be doing it. And then I started to get tired. A lot earlier than I wanted to be. I didn't sleep the best. I haven't been sleeping the best, to be honest. But, yeah. So today might be a little short. What was that? Oh, it's a dragonfly. I was like, wait, did something just fall? I totally missed those. There we go. There's nothing on the bulletin board. We're gonna do our daily stuff, of course. We just might not do anything much auxiliary on that. It's not this rock. You know what? I'm gonna bite the bullet and actually talk about this today. Can someone please at least try to explain to me what the big deal is about Battle Royale games? Like, what's the appeal? Because I, quite honestly, don't get it. All of them are basically the same game. Like, none of them are really any different. And they all just look kind of mediocre as far as games go. I mean, I know the Hunger Games was a popular thing a while back. I never got into it. I never had any interest in the books. So I didn't care, and then when I think movies came out about them, I don't know, I don't pay attention to stuff I don't have interest in. I can't help but pay attention to Battle Royale games because they're everywhere. And it's even worse when you get things like the big two, which is Fortnite and PUBG, fighting with each other because it takes over the gaming news. So if I was actually paying attention to anything, I'd have to slog through Battle Royale news to get to what I'm actually looking for. Which is actually something I ran into when I was, before MapleStory 2 came out. I had been trying to look up news on it, see how it was progressing along. And, like, just searching, like, gaming news sites. Because just searching, like, MapleStory news, it doesn't exactly work that well. Because you tend to get news about the first game. Even searching MapleStory 2 news, I found just news about the first game. But, like, I'd just be browsing the gaming news websites, and it would just be, like, oh, PUBG this, Fortnite that. I don't care. I don't know why anyone cares. On the surface, both games look bad. They're both Arma mods. Like, let's face it, they are Arma mods. Just go play the Arma mod. Like, yeah, it might cost you a little bit of money, but you'll probably have a better experience. I mean, that's just kind of my opinion. I kind of like Arma. It's just a fun little series of games. You can just kind of set up silly fun and have silly fun. But I myself would probably never play the Battle Royale mod because I just don't care. I mean, I say this as someone who is a little salty because the genre of games I want doesn't exist. And I know even if I were to put in all of the time and effort to make one myself, I would not get a return on my investment. And that is really any sailing ship game. And it's mostly because bad game developers have killed that community's trust in game developers. There are so many sailing ship games that have been released that had such good promise that died because their developers just couldn't care. They made their paychecks, and they booked it. And, I mean, I forget the name of one of them, but one of them had so much promise. It was this massive open-world sailing ship game where, you know, if you wanted to go places, you know, it would take you hours to sail there. And they started releasing patches, you know, updates for their game after it had released. And when it released, it had really good reviews. It was well received. But as time went on, they steadily broke the game. You had the option of being a noble trader slash, you know, navy person, or being a pirate. It became very obvious very quickly, being a pirate was the best way to play. Because you had so many advantages, and I don't even remember what they all are, I just remember the gist of it. Of basically being a pirate, you had so many advantages that it just made more sense to be a pirate. And this is a multiplayer game, by the way. I think it could be played single player, but it's multiplayer. Honestly, if it can be played single player, I might give it a try at some point, but because that would probably negate a lot of the bad design decisions. But I think at this point, the developers have just abandoned it, because they were making all of these changes, and of course the fandom doesn't like it. Because they're literally destroying a game that had so much promise. And as always with that type of thing... Wait, I should check turnip prices. 74. Not good. The developers will get a lot of flack for destroying the game. Ugh. Apologize. And then they'll turn around and... usually they'll start by getting angry with the fans. Apologize. And they'll go from taking it out on the fans to just going, you know what, we're done. And they'll leave and stop developing the game. Instead of just fixing the problems they caused. But to fix the problems they'd caused, they would have had to have first admitted they caused those problems, which is why they never fix anything, is because a lot of the times these developers are full of themselves. Especially when they get their hands on a good engine and can make it look beautiful, like AAA quality visuals. Because honestly, that's easier and easier for people to just do nowadays. Like, I could fire up Unity and make something that looks AAA probably in a weekend. It wouldn't play AAA, but it would look AAA. Like, that's kind of a problem these days, and I won't get into that because that's a whole big can of worms I don't even want to touch. But, like, it gets really disappointing to see stuff like that happen. Because, to basically explain what I'm looking for from a sailing ship game, is for it to be like one of 3 other games. Either for it to be like Uncharted Waters Online, but less MMO-y. To be like the Port Royal series of games. Or to be very much like World of Warships. And I suppose to tack on with the Port Royal thing, Port Royal / Uncharted Waters series of games. Because those are basically the same games, it's just different developers and different ages. Like, that's all I'm looking for. One of those 3 categories. And my inventory is messed up. But, like, developers just seem incapable of providing that. I'm just making absolutely sure I watered this. Our red turnip. I don't want this one to rot. I think I'll do a short loop this way. And as I mentioned, like, there was a game at one point that was very much like World of Warships, but with sailing boats. And I still cannot remember the name of it. It's dead now, so it doesn't matter. Like, the developers are probably still trying to sell it. Hey, Tank. So, Eslov, yeah, I talked it over with myself, and I've decided to bail and move out of town. Why? What? It's not like I have to give a reason for every little decision or anything. The important thing is I decided to peace out. Kapow. Well, he seems really set on it, so we won't tell him to stay. Yeah, I still haven't decided which day yet. Wanted to tell you as soon as I saw you, Kapow. So anyway, we're still buds while I'm still here, right, Kapow? Yeah, Tank, we're still buds. But, like, it's so sad being part of that demographic. Like, there are a lot of people that want that type of game. But the games industry itself has lost faith in that style of game. Because every developer that tries to do it gives up or goes out of business. So that's not a good way of convincing AAA developers they need to do that. I hoped that after Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out, and that was a big success, that more developers would jump on that bandwagon, but they haven't. And nothing against the Assassin's Creed series, but I just don't like the Assassin's Creed series. So, like, while I appreciate Black Flag, and it can be kind of fun to sail around, I just can't get into it, because in the back of my head is always just, this is an Assassin's Creed game. I know I'm kind of unfairly biased against it, and that's part of my problem. Like, I don't want an existing series to try and take up the banner of being a pirate game. Like, I don't want that. And at this point, I'm honestly getting a little bored and sick of playing the same old games like that over and over again. And I did actually find a relatively new one. And while I'm donating this fossil, I'm actually going to quickly pop open my Steam library and find its name so I can advertise for it. Where is it here? Winds of Trade. It is really good. It feels like the old Uncharted Waters games. And it's still being developed. I mean, its development cycle isn't fast. I think it's a small team working on it. But it's a procedurally generated world. Well, not procedurally generated. Randomly generated world is the more appropriate way of putting it. And it plays like an old Uncharted Waters / Port Royal game. And it's a fun game. I don't have a whole lot of time for random games. But in the time I had it, which was about the time which was around Christmas last year. So I haven't played it for about a year. Because I'm letting updates build up on it, honestly. I put literally 6 hours into it on my first night playing it. Like, it's that fun. So, like, and I imagine there's a lot of people who love that game. I imagine if I clicked onto its Steam page, it would have a lot of people liking it. But that isn't going to be enough to convince other developers to give it a try. Which is sad. And I'm probably actually going to do another look tonight while a video is exporting. I do an occasional check to see if I can find any games that are like what I'm looking for. Including browsing like obscure websites that just host games. and like host links to like MMOs. Because a lot of MMOs don't make it to Steam. And a lot of people don't tend to play them because they're not on Steam. Because that's kind of the sad thing about Steam existing and having MMOs on it. Is if your MMO isn't on Steam, the vast majority of the people will never find it. Because everyone just looks on Steam nowadays for MMOs. They don't go to the obscure MMO websites. Or just Google what type of MMO they're looking for. But I'm gonna stop ranting now. I'd like to remind everyone I do have a Patreon should you wish to throw money my way. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. And with that, I thank you all very much for watching, and hope to see you again next time for more Animal Crossing City Folk. See you all then.